Welcome to the Ambitious as Fuck podcast, where we have raw conversation about staying motivated and ambitious while facing real life challenges. Success doesn't just happen, you have to work hard, fall, and keep getting up regardless of the obstacles. If settling or giving up is not your style, stick around for this real ass conversation. My name is Priscilla, and I've always enjoyed helping and motivating others. While developing my own brand, I realized my passion for marketing and empowering others to keep pushing forward and manifesting their dreams. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey everyone, it is Priscilla here. Welcome back to another episode of the Ambitious AF podcast. This is season 4, episode 2. So my face is actually on camera today, so this episode is definitely going to be on YouTube. And there's a few things I want to talk about. One of them is the fact that I've gotten all this confidence to finally show up on camera on my own show without someone else. Usually I'm interviewing someone in all of my past seasons, and this season is just going to be slightly different because I am really sharing my healing journey with you. And it started with the first episode, and I told you about how I realized that I needed to find someone to work with to help me on my healing journey. And that's been really great. There's been a lot of revelations for me and just so much more clarity. And with that clarity has come a lot more, how do I want to say it? Like kind of like clear direction as to what I'm doing with my business, with the podcast, with a lot of things, and confidence. Even though I've been confident, I've always been confident. I've never been afraid to talk to strangers or anything, but there is a different beast when you're talking about like recording yourself so that a lot of people can see it. So it's been about 4 years since I really officially started hopping on camera, but it was always a little awkward. I was always embarrassed, or I felt like I sounded stupid and I hated the sound of my voice. And I'm sure plenty of you guys know exactly how I feel, so I'm not the only one. But the awesome part is that I can actually sit here in front of you right now and talk to you with complete confidence, with the fact that I'm ready. I'm ready to be here. I'm ready to be at the next level. I am ready. So you guys have been with me on my journey. If you have followed me along, awesome. If you're new here, thank you for being here. So in the last episode, I was talking to you about how I finally got on the healing journey. You know, it started with like my own stuff, like reading and whatnot, but like actually finding a coach and someone to work with to help me through this has been great. And now it's like I keep meeting people and attracting people who are on the same path, you know, and everyone's journey is not the same. We all have different things that we've been through, different trauma, different ages that we've been through things. And so we can't compare ourselves to others in any way whatsoever. And it's hard not to when you're on social media or when you're growing a podcast or whatever it is that we're doing. But we are all on our own journey. But the really awesome thing is just finding people who are on that journey, finding people who understand the process, and that you continue to gain more and more clarity. The more you look into yourself, the more you reach in and find your power. So, you know, this is something that I want everyone to know. And so in the last episode, I mentioned that there's a story that led me to Vegas. And just the way that things play out, I find it to be kind of interesting because it goes along with the whole thing that everything happens for a reason. And I've always believed that to a degree, because I feel that if you're looking for something like an opportunity or a sign, or you're looking for things, right, to advance yourself in your life, then you will make opportunities out of certain situations. I'm not saying by any means that you are supposed to be like looking at everyone with your own selfish intentions. That's not what I mean, but you need to be open to the possibility that there could be an opportunity in every situation you're in. So with that being said, that's how I've always felt. Now it's a little different because of the law of attraction and being one with the universe, right? So if we are all energy, we are all connected to each other, including everything else. So like the planet, the earth, the plants, animals, we're all connected. So therefore, the law of attraction says that everything does happen for a reason because it happens when you're ready. So if you're not paying attention, maybe you weren't ready. However, if you're paying attention and you're looking for signs, don't ignore them when they're in front of you. So everything happens for a reason. Let me tell you quickly as I can without making this boring, how I ended up in Vegas. And forgive me because I'm really bad at dates. And one of the things that I've realized is that I'm really bad at dates because over the years since I was a little girl, I've been burying a lot of experiences. And so once you start learning to bury, then it's easy for a lot of other stuff to start getting buried too subconsciously. You don't even mean to. So my best friend Diana, who's a wedding planner who I've had on the show before, I met her a long time ago. Our kids must have been like 5 and 3 or 2 and 2 and 5, something like that. And we both have 2 kids and they're both the same age. She has 2 girls. I have a boy and a girl, the older ones, right? These kids are now 18 or about to be 18 and 21. So that's how long I've known Diana, right? So I met her because her mother was my downstairs neighbor and she would come over and bring the kids. And we would hang out with the kids. The kids would sleep downstairs sometimes. Like we lived right upstairs from her mom. And so ever since then, we maintained a relationship. At some point, however, like we kind of fell apart because like I moved out, I got divorced from my ex, and that's a whole story in itself. But we moved away and stuff like that. And so then we kind of stopped talking. And then at some point I tried to talk to her again, and then we stopped. And then finally I remember calling her one day, and it was like one of the times like we were breaking, like my ex and I would break up a lot. Like I would move out, get my own place. Then after a few months, he would seem to be sober and I'd come back. And that happened a long time, like too long. But whatever, I'm not going to go backwards. It's probably all good, right? Everything happens for a reason. So one day I call her out of nowhere and I go, "Hey, Diana, how are you? What's going on? It's been a while." She's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm getting married." And I'm like, "Wait, right now?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh shit." And she's like, "Yeah, I saved you a seat. You are invited and I would love for you to come." Now, this was one of the times that I had gone back with my ex. And for whatever reason, he didn't want me to go. He was like, no, he was like completely against it. He didn't want me to go. And I was like, wow, really? Like, why? And he had really no reason. He was just like, "Can you please, like, we're trying to work things out, like, just please." And I'm like, all right, fine. So I didn't go. And then I didn't talk to her for like probably a couple of years, maybe a year or two. And I finally did get the divorce. So now I'm free, right? A couple of years later. And I reached out to her one day. The funniest part was that it was because of Mary Kay. Like, that's super embarrassing. But hey, I was a single mom and I was trying to make extra money however I could. And I had lost my job. I had actually lost my job at my dental office that I was at for 5 years because of the divorce. So I was like doing all kinds of other jobs, and I was doing a construction job. And then one day I walked into this restaurant and I met, like, there was a Mary Kay stand and she was like really sweet and convincing. And for some reason I did it. Forget that. Like, I hate that brand. There's nothing I wouldn't do that again. But anyway, the point is that I was doing that and I was looking through my contacts and I was just like, well, let's start trying to sell, right? And I am like, oh shit, I haven't talked to Diana in like forever. So I hit her up and I was like, "Hey, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "By any chance, like, I'm selling Mary Kay. Would you be open to trying something?" She's so sweet. Diana is like such a sweet person, really. Like, she was like, "Well, I don't really use that kind of skincare, but like maybe there's makeup or something." So I came over with the kids. We kind of reunited, and like, I think she bought an eyeliner. She's so sweet. And so ever since then, that's like it. Like, her and I have been really close ever since then. And so years go by, we've been friends. She started her wedding planning business kind of to help me. I'll probably get her on the show to talk about that part because that's kind of funny. But anyway, her husband ends up working for the Raiders and they end up moving to Las Vegas during the pandemic. So in the midst of the pandemic, she was finally like, yeah, I guess we're going to move. It was like a whole ordeal of like the entire team finally moving and all the staff going with them. And so, boom, they pack up, they fucking leave. And I did not get to say goodbye to my best friend because everyone was on lockdown, right? And so she moves to Vegas, and that was like so heartbreaking for me. And it was hard for her, but she was ready for the change because it took her a while to accept it. And what she did, she was like, fuck California, I'm going to Vegas. And, you know, we got to do what we got to do to make things better for ourselves, right? So she's there. And now that's where they are. She brought her sister, she brought her mom, like her immediate family pretty much is living over there with her. And so I'm like, shit, I lost all you guys, you know? But anyway, let's get to the story of how I end up in Vegas, right? So they finally, we speed through, this is now last year, 2021, because we're in 2022 right now. So they end up going to networking events and whatnot. Like her sister is the florist, and of course Diana is the wedding planner. And so they team up on a lot of stuff. And so Circe is my friend who's her sister. And we've been super close too. It's just like a little bit of a different relationship, but we're super, super close. And she hits me up one night and she goes, oh, I just went to this networking event and I met these people that you should definitely meet. And I was like, okay, who? And she shares the profile with me on IG. So she sends me the profiles and I'm like, all right, let me hit them up. And sure enough, like one of them, I was like, ooh, she's so my vibe. Like she curses and she's into personal branding and all that. So I hit her up. We hit it off on Zoom and talking on Instagram and on the phone or whatever. And she introduces me to someone who needs help with her bio. So I end up doing this other person's bio. She's a freaking badass too. And I was like, oh man, you guys are cool. And then she says, you have to meet someone. So she introduces me to my friend, Mary Grace. And she is the owner of Social Register, which is a networking group. And I don't know if I mentioned that in the last episode, but anyway, so little by little, this is all trickling down, right? So in January, I was supposed to go to Vegas because I love this particular photographer that Diana works with, and I had booked that. And I was like going to go hang out with Diana and, have a good time. And I was going to take the baby and everything. Like it was going to be nice visiting. And we ended up getting COVID. So I canceled that trip. All of us in the house got COVID. So that was canceled. Now I'm like, all right, well, I got to postpone because I already paid for my photo shoot. So I was like, all right, I'll postpone it, whatever, it is what it is. And in the meantime, I'm meeting all these women because I think I met the first lady was like probably in October. Then I did the other lady's bio in, I want to say November. And then in January, I want to say is when I met Mary Grace. And so I end up joining her networking group, and I did the speed networking online, and I met a lot of people, and most of them were in Vegas, even though it's kind of nationwide. And I was like, okay, there's something going on in Vegas. I need to meet all these really cool people because it was just a great vibe. Like that's what I've been into a lot, even before realizing, the power, the law of attraction as much as I know about it now. I've been like, yeah, I only want to work with people I actually vibe with. Like I want to talk to people I vibe with because I'll tell you this much, I've done tons of networking, a lot of networking here in person in California, online. And it's like, you want to maintain certain relationships, but sometimes you just say it and you're like, there was like nothing that you clicked with that person. So then it's like so easy to just keep like, whatever, like keep doing your thing and not follow back up with the people you've met networking, right? But that was the difference this time. The difference for me was that, oh, I actually like these people. I want to talk to them. I want to keep establishing a relationship with them, not expecting that they're my clients at all. More because when you're networking, you're not here to turn everyone into a client. You're supposed to actually turn people into friends and establish relationships. So that way, if they come across someone that needs help, they're going to think of you, right? So I meet all these cool people. I'm like, all right, I need to go to Vegas. I got to do my photo shoot. they're going to have this networking event. Let me go in person. So I rescheduled my trip to go to the networking event for Social Register. And that's where I mentioned in the last episode, that's where I met the lady that helped me realize that I needed a coach. And so just the way that everything played out for me to get to that point, had I never met Diana and her sister, I may have never ended up in Vegas. I mean, would I have been on a healing journey? Perhaps in a different way, but I wouldn't know that alternate universe, right? I know what I'm in right now. And so what I'm in right now is literally, I met all these people because I knew Diana and Circe. And so talk about shit happening for a reason, right? So that's one of the stories I wanted to share with you as far as, my healing journey and how shit happens for a reason and how I got to where I am now. And, even since the last episode, which was only like a week ago, I think, I have had a lot more revelations and a lot more clarity. And I will talk about that in another episode because that's actually really, really deep. It has to do with alcohol. It has to do with alcohol, like my whole life and how it's affected me. And so I will be sharing that with you soon. For right now, I'm gonna just end it here. What I'm doing is I'm setting this up for an episode that I actually recorded in December. So like I mentioned, last year, within the last couple years is when I've really felt that, there did need to be some things that changed. I just didn't know how to go about it. And then finally accepting the fact that I knew I needed help. And then finally being open to the fact of exactly what it was I needed, right? And so I started talking with coaches last year in admiration of what they do for people. So I met this really nice lady on Instagram. I've actually met a lot of really amazing people that I admire, people that I establish relationships with, people that I talk to maybe not on a regular basis, but because of social media, I stay in contact with them. And so last year in December, I recorded an episode with she's a coach. She coaches women. I won't get into it too much right now because obviously the next episode you'll be able to check that out too. But I was in admiration of the work that she did. And, right away I thought, oh my God, like I wish my mom would, do something like this or whatever. It's like we always want to help everyone and then we forget about the fact that we need help, right? But anyway, so I just want to set that up so that the next episode is actually a throwback, but it never got released because I was so busy with the baby and I didn't have enough help and I didn't have enough time to literally do the work for my clients and the stuff that I wanted to do, like this, my podcast, and to actually hop on here and record myself on camera. So the next episode, there is a guest. And then after that, I will be sharing more about myself and I will have some guests here and there, but this season is really going to be a lot about myself and my healing journey and just a way to share about myself. And, hopefully it helps you somehow to really reach that higher level that you want to be at. And it doesn't even just mean financially. You could be a millionaire. I'm not there yet. I'm definitely not there yet. But you could be a millionaire or you could have hella money and still be super unhappy. And so that's the amazing part about all of this is like, not only is healing going to help me achieve that status of the 7 figures, but if you're already at that status, you could still use some healing because there's so many people that have money and are unhappy because maybe their money was always something that got in the way of true friendship. I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff that it could be, right? But I know that like the last person that I spoke with, which was the beautiful woman in Las Vegas. I don't know if I said her name, but Anna, and she herself told me as a transformation coach, and she works with healing people who happen to be, in a higher status as far as financially, maybe even like in the public eye. So that's all I'm going to share because I think she's kind of private about that. But she did mention to me, you know, like she's worked with plenty of people with tons of money who are completely unhappy. And so does money bring you happiness? It does if you are happy inside, right? And for me, money is going to be, and this is something that I want to tell everyone, fuck it, right? I know it sounds crazy, but I think that if all of us who are aspiring to be millionaires, billionaires, whatever we're trying to be, right? I honestly want to say billionaire, but I know it sounds crazy and people are like, how the fuck are you going to do that? I'm like, I don't know, but I would like to. The biggest reason for me is that I don't feel like we are doomed. I don't feel like our planet is doomed because I think there's enough people like myself, like yourself, that are aspiring to do good things with their money. And I had this conversation recently with someone who's so awesome. And we were talking about the book, Everyone Should Be a Millionaire. Like this book is specifically a woman's empowerment to become a millionaire, and how to make moves to be really that boss, right? But she talks a lot about how women that have a lot of money do a lot of good things for the planet, for other people. And so that's what I'm trying to do, because I don't think we're doomed. I think that because more and more of us are learning about how to heal our wounds, how to become better people, how to manifest good things, right? Because when you're manifesting, you're supposed to be manifesting positive things, good things. You're supposed to be on a high vibration. And so there's so many of us on this path now that I think together we are gonna abolish the things that are ruining our planet right now. The corporations that they don't give a shit about us. They're poisoning us, you know, like, and I know I'm kind of going on a tangent. But I'll talk more about this, and at least I'm leaving you with like a lot more perspective as to where my brain is. And if you want to keep listening or not, it's all good. We're not for everyone. And I know maybe some of the shit I say sounds crazy to some people, but that's all for now. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. And just know that, like, if you guys want to talk, I love talking. I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. If there's anything I could do to help you with your own growth, your business, introducing you to the right people, I am here for you. I really am. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day whenever it is that you're listening to this or watching it. And again, I appreciate you so much. Until next time, this is what I want to say. And this is probably what I'll be saying moving forward, is that you are powerful, you are capable, and you're fucking worthy. Don't you ever forget it.
For daily tips and motivation, follow me on Instagram at AmbitiousAF Copywriting.